I don't think this rally is a very special rally. This is a rally for ants. So the real rally is when we go to 1 million. And that is when we have tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars inflowing to Bitcoin in a very short time frame. I'm talking about days to weeks. I look at the data set from the ETFs hoovering up all of that Bitcoin, like 10K a day at this massive rate. And I'm just constantly amazed that it's still keeping up. But the thing is, people don't seem to understand it based on the same set of data that's being presented to us bulltards, right? So we look at that data and we're like, holy shit, that's so bullish. Someone else looks at it and goes, well, that's not really, there are diminishing returns, right? Or even the ETFs. It is massively better at the scale of 1,000 or even infinite. So it is not going up like this to adoption as money. It is just a point at which you jump up to the next step and then you don't go back down. You have institutional money coming in, you have pension fund money coming in, maybe insurance fund money coming in. And we've talked to some of these people too. It is tens and hundreds of billions of dollars that are all going to hit Bitcoin. And it's all going to hit very, very quickly.
I think it's time to get bullish, Samson, because I've seen you tweet a lot about something called an Omega candle. Maybe we should break down what a God candle is first for anyone who doesn't know what that means, and then break down what is an Omega candle.
Sure. So a God candle, we've been talking about it for a long time. I think it probably originated in trading circles, but it's a 10K candle on the daily, a 10K green candle on the daily. So we haven't actually had one yet. And this is sort of a mythical thing that everyone's thinking about will come to pass eventually. And I think it's getting more and more likely.
Mm.
The Omega candle is my naming of the bigger candle after the God candle. So it's a 100K green candle on the daily. And I like this naming format because you can kind of name it similar to earthquakes, right? On the Richter scale. You can have a 2 Omega event, which is a 200K green candle on the daily. But it's really just an analysis of what's happening in the environment right now and the seismic shift in Bitcoin adoption with the ETFs. And I think all of this unlocks the possibility of something like an Omega candle very soon in our lives.
I love the Richter scale, the 2 Omega and the 3 Omega. That's brilliant. Now, you have gained a lot of notoriety online recently, talking about the possibility that Bitcoin could hit $1 million in a very short window of time. Now, I actually agree with you. I'm one of the psychopaths who actually believes that that is more likely than not, all because of the diminishing supply available for sale, and there's just not that many coins circulating around for sale. But let's maybe steel man the position of the Bitcoin bears who think that this is absolutely impossible. I know so many people on Bitcoin Twitter who don't think Bitcoin's even going to hit, $1 million by 2035 or 2040. There's some serious perma bears out there. But let's talk about a little bit more about maybe how this transition happens and just how quickly it could happen.
Well, the thing is, Bitcoin can go up very rapidly in a very short amount of time. We've seen that time and time again in the past. So there are multiple periods of time where Bitcoin did a 20x. The one I look at is like 2017, over a nine-month period, it went from 1,000 to 20,000. And that's really no fundamental change, right? Nothing happened on a massive scale that was super bullish, like ETFs, unlocking so much capital into this ecosystem. It just kind of did its own thing over 9 months and 20x'd. So with this sea change in capital being able to be allocated to Bitcoin, you have institutional money coming in, you have pension fund money coming in, maybe insurance fund money coming in. And we've talked to some of these people too. It is tens and hundreds of billions of dollars that are all going to hit Bitcoin. And it's all going to hit very, very quickly because there's many effects at play here. One is the Veblen effect. As Bitcoin becomes more valuable, it becomes much more valuable because it's seen as a legitimized asset. And you can say that ETFs already made Bitcoin a legitimized asset, but as the price goes up, it really solidifies that. It becomes the new gold for a lot of the older generation that only know gold. So I think that crossing line is probably in a 300 to 500K range, or you know, the 0.3 to 0.5 range. Um, and that is the point at which I think you go run up to the 1 million range, because at that point it's the new gold, and everyone wants a piece of that new gold, especially nation states.
The Veblen effect's a really interesting part of your thesis, so to say. I think like lots of people call me a bulltard because a lot of people will say, a lot of the bears will say, oh, but won't people sell their Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes up to 200 or 300 or 400,000? Something that I've talked about a lot is I actually think that once Bitcoin gets to 500, 600 or $700,000 per coin, I think that kind of opens the gate for these larger entities like Microsoft or Apple, who have literally hundreds of billions of dollars of capital on their balance sheet, to start indiscriminately allocating to Bitcoin. They don't care about the price. They're not going to trade it. They're just going to put a little bit of allocation to Bitcoin. Are these the kind of entities that you're looking at who are going to just start plowing money into Bitcoin?
I think so. I mean, Apple's sitting on $1 trillion of cash plus, so it's not really hard for them to make that decision once Bitcoin hits that threshold. Maybe you can call it a Veblen threshold, where
Mm.
it is now the standard of money. And from there, you just double from zero point 0.5 to 1, right? And a doubling is not hard, especially when we can 20x. And it also ties into the concept of this monetary change being a step function. So it's not like we have a marginally better gold or a marginally better dollar because it's digital now. Because you could digitize dollars into a CBDC. It is it is massively better at the scale of 1,000 or even infinite. So it is not going up like this to adoption as money. It is just a point at which you jump up to the next step and then you don't go back down. Sort of like with horses and cars. It's not a gradual change where we still have cars and horses running around all the time, or we drive a car 5 days a week and then we go back to our horse for 2 days a week. It's just all cars now. So that's a example of Bitcoin being a step function change in money.
The Veblen threshold. I love that. That's a really good way to put it, because I see it the same way. It's kind of like everybody knows that technologies get adopted exponentially. Once they hit that kind of inflection point, the exponential adoption happens very rapidly. Bitcoin's a monetary technology. I don't think a lot of people have kind of given the thought to what does an exponential adoption of a monetary technology looks like, and it would look like a stair step higher in price. I think you're 100% on the money.
Well, and I mean, the thing is, we do know what it looks like. You go
Mm,
and look at the Bitcoin chart on log scale.
mm,
That is it right there.
yeah.
It's right in front of you. But the thing is, people don't seem to understand it based on the same set of data that's being presented to us boltards, right? So we look at that data and we're like, holy shit, that's so bullish. Someone else looks like it and goes, well, that's not really, there are diminishing returns, right? Or even the ETFs. I look at the data set from the ETFs hoovering up all of that Bitcoin, like 10K a day at this massive rate. And I'm just constantly amazed that it's still keeping up. And you give that data set to someone else, and they're like, well, it didn't go to $1 million a coin already. So obviously it's not going to happen. So it's really kind of weird how people look at things through their own lens of the world. And that hurts you in the end if you're a bull, if you're a bear.
Yeah, nobody's bullish enough, man, when they're looking at the ETFs. I was putting together a chart earlier today, and I think right now there's 27,000 Bitcoin mined every month. And I think right now, in 7 days of trading for the ETFs, they've bought over 100,000 coins. So that's like the equivalent of like 4 to 5 months worth of newly issued coins. And
Yeah.
we have the halving come in as well, which is going to make these maths even more stupid. So I think like once grayscale selling slows, I don't think most people are ready for the Richter scale event that we could see with Omega candles hitting us on a daily basis.
Well, the thing is, you just gotta look at another chart in another country. Go look at
Mm.
the BTC USD price, USDT price in Turkey.
Mm.
They already have Omega candles there, like almost Omega candles, right?
Mm.
It's like I saw 80K, 90K Turkish lira candles. So it is possible. And I think you just have to understand it's also a function of the failure of the fiat system too. And that is only going to accelerate over time. Either they're going to maintain the current interest rates or they're going to drop them and turn the printer back on. But either way, it's inevitable that the fiat money will become worthless and Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. And just going back to that Veblen threshold there, we as Bitcoiners already talk about this when people say, aren't you going to sell for profit? I think at that Veblen threshold is when the big holders of trillions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, are going to understand sell for what? The same concept that we understand. Like, yeah, we could sell, but for what? Right? And that is when it really kicks off.
I think that's a great way to think about it. A lot of Bitcoiners think about that. And even like the on-chain data, for example, shows that when Bitcoin ran up from $10,000 to $60,000, we only saw 100,000 coins go to exchanges. Like 100,000 is minuscule when you're comparing that to the past 4 years of data, where the macro downtrend right now in available Bitcoin for sale is we just watched 1.2 million coins fly off exchanges in 4 years. And a lot of people are saying, oh, but people are going to send their Bitcoin to exchanges and sell in the future. Well, we didn't see that in 2021. We only saw 100,000 coins come to exchanges. So this kind of continues to back up what you're saying.
Yeah, there's just going to be a point at which people don't sell because
Mm.
what are you going to buy? There's really nothing better to buy if you want to store value. And if you're a big corporation sitting on cash, you have operating cash flow like MicroStrategy, maybe you can sell a little bit to invest in R&D, but by and large, your operating cash flow should actually allow you to net accumulate Bitcoin on an ongoing basis, just like MicroStrategy. So I don't really see like people buying, companies buying or Apple buying at 0.5 and selling at 1 to make a bit of money because at that point they have to understand, or somebody in the company has to understand, like that's not a smart thing to do, to take profit, if you will, out of Bitcoin.
Yeah, why would you sell Bitcoin at 0.5 M? That's such a low price, $500,000 a coin. That we spoke a lot about corporations. Maybe this is a good place to transition into nation states. So I would love to learn a little bit more about your transition from Blockstream to Jan 3 and when that started and what was the impetus for that.
Yeah, so I decided to start Jan 3 so that we could focus more on nation state Bitcoin adoption and accelerating hyper Bitcoinization as a whole. Um, I think Blockstream does a lot of very important stuff and maintains a lot of key infrastructure in the Bitcoin ecosystem. But I think for us at Jan 3, the team I put together, our goal is to kind of onboard more people, especially the global south, into the financial system, to bank the unbanked, to get more people into Bitcoin. And this is why we built Aqua to assist with that grassroots ground up initiative while we as a company focus on the top-down initiative, engaging with governments and helping inform on policy, sane regulations,
Mhm.
and just educating about Bitcoin. So it's a different strategy, I think, and it requires a lot more attention and focus than I could do if I was still doing it at Blockstream and managing all the things I would manage there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's you're traveling around to a different country nearly every week. I think a couple of weeks ago, I saw you speaking to the president of Colombia. And then I think a week later, you're talking to the president of, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Suriname,
Suriname.
Suriname, that's far simpler. Uh, what did you find in your experiences traveling to those two countries in South America?
It's I mean, we've been doing a lot of trips to
Mm.
Latin America, South America. So it's not like a big eye opener at this point. But just to clarify on that trip, we met the president of Suriname first, and then the next day we met the president of Colombia. So it was like back to back. And I think it's only going to accelerate as Bitcoin price appreciates and more countries want to be involved in Bitcoin and learn about Bitcoin. So that you got to remember, like when we arranged those meetings, Bitcoin was still at the 30s, low 30s range, and that is already drawing attention to Bitcoin, and people want to start formulating a Bitcoin strategy. So when Bitcoin is at 100, I think we're going to get a lot of phone calls, and the phone's going to be ringing off the hook. But yeah, the main things I think from these trips last year are that we can tap into energy in these countries and do something very quickly in the near term in the next couple of quarters and show how Bitcoin can benefit them directly. So in Suriname, there is a project deep in the Amazon jungle where we can install a mining operation in the village to help them get more electricity and to potentially monetize the Bitcoin they mine there to build up more infrastructure for that little village. There's also a hydro dam with excess power in Suriname, and we're in discussions to see if we can use that excess to mine Bitcoin, and then they can use that Bitcoin for whatever they like to benefit the country. Um, in Colombia, there's a flare gas installation that we've been talking about, and the president there said, you guys should get on this and do something fast. So we just have to get back to all of these discussions and kind of, cross the T's and dot the I's and get these projects moving along. But I think it's going to be much more busy for us in 2024 with Bitcoin going to the moon and all of these countries starting to take an interest.
It certainly makes a lot of sense. Number goes up. That kind of helps the cause, so to say. I think Costa Rica, are they also another country with a little hydro set up mining Bitcoin?
Yeah, so they have a lot of hydropower, a lot still untapped. And there is one pilot project being done there where it's a sort of a public-private partnership. The national utility, ISE, is working with one of the private farms to mine Bitcoin. And we also have some discussions going on in Costa Rica too. Good that you remind me of that. But it's just one example. There's just so many of these projects, and I think the mining energy angle is the easiest way to approach them. Going more along the legal tender route or Argentina deregulating money is probably more challenging, but something like mining Bitcoin is far more easily digestible and understandable.
Mm. Yeah, 100% agree. I think in another podcast, you also mentioned the unique situation that's present in countries like, was it Guatemala and Panama? I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that and how Bitcoin could fit into those countries' plans.
Yeah, so we do try on all angles. While mining is probably easier for the governments and the presidents and prime ministers to digest, we do still try to present the other option, the El Salvador route, which is taking some legislative measure to uh, embed Bitcoin into that country in a more firm way. So Panama is interesting. They have no central bank. The next president there can simply say, we accept Bitcoin, and there's no need for any regulatory legislative change whatsoever. Guatemala also has the capability of doing that if the president there chooses to do so. So they have a law, an old law called divisas, which actually allows them to use any foreign currency as their own money. So basically, the president would just say, we accept Bitcoin now under this existing law. But there are a lot of these laws that can be used. Someone just has to go and work with people there to uncover them and push them forward with the current administrations. And then you can get the El Salvador effect without having to pass some new law or new legislation. And actually, Suriname also has the same opportunity. They have their own dollar there, but they also use the dollar itself and euros in daily life. So if you go to a restaurant, a lot of the menus are priced in dollars too. And the way they achieve this was they have executive orders from the president saying you can now use dollars and now you can use euros. So we've been in discussions too to see if we can pass an executive order because Bitcoin is a foreign currency. It's the money of El Salvador. They could do the exact same thing and just simply say, here's a new executive order. You can use Bitcoin now. So there's a lot of this low-hanging fruit to implement Bitcoin as money in these countries. And we just have to go at it and work with them and see what we can accomplish.
If you had to throw a dart at the dartboard and have a look at, all of this low hanging fruit, what do you think hangs the lowest? Which country do you think are you most bullish on? Whether it could be an economic regulation sense, or it could be, adopting or just embracing Bitcoin through mining it, through all of these energy sources that a country might have. Which country stands out to you that you are personally most bullish on?
I don't know. I don't like to
Mm.
count the my chickens before they hatch. I'm bullish on everyone that we're engaged with right now, but like I said, there are ones that could do it very easily, and Panama, Guatemala, and Suriname come to mind.
Mm.
Also, Costa Rica. I think there are some people there looking at some old laws that could potentially let it go through. But the biggest challenge is getting them to understand why they need a Bitcoin strategy and why they need a Bitcoin strategy right now, not next year or the year after. Because as we know, Bitcoin price is going to appreciate, and the sooner they get in, the bigger the benefit to them will be.
100%. I think that's one of the, let's say, challenges that a lot of the locals here in El Salvador have faced since they got that free $30 of Bitcoin from Bukele. Numbers just pretty much gone down for 2 years, and it's only just popped up into profit again recently. So I think the timing of any welcoming or embrace into Bitcoin is very important, I think, to just help education on the ground in those countries.
Mhm. I
Having
agree.
tools, having tools like Aqua Wallet certainly going to be very, very useful. I've lived in Latin America for the past 2 years, and I've been looking for a wallet that's essentially doing exactly what you guys are doing, because I've been to Argentina, and sometimes you can pay with Bitcoin, which is great. Many of the places the girlfriend and I went to in Argentina accepted Bitcoin. Like, we were getting massages with Bitcoin, paying for groceries with Bitcoin. It was great. But some of the places only accept Tether. So obviously I have an exchange account that I can use to do that, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So obviously a mobile wallet would, for me personally, solve a lot of headaches. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about at the Aqua wallet and when that puppy's going to go live.
Oh, it's live already.
Yeah, the beta, or is it the full?
The full thing.
For real? Did I miss that? I
You
saw
missed
on
it. You missed it.
I saw on Twitter when the beta was open, and I thought, I'll just wait for the wallet to go live. But it's live. It's ready to go.
It's ready to go. There's only one difference right now, and that is the iOS version doesn't have the swaps in. But we'll break it on your show, or we might release it before your show airs. But we have approval from Apple now to have swaps in. It'll be on the Marketplace tab, but now both versions are at parity.
Amazing. Okay, well, as soon as I'm off this call, I'm going to download that puppy and go and put it to use, because I'm here in El Salvador. I have to go grocery shopping today, so I'll be spending Bitcoin to go get my goodies, and I will definitely try out the Aqua wallet. I might even post a little video to Twitter showing the people what I found.
Yeah,
There we have it.
there you have it. But yeah, to recap, Aqua is a Bitcoin, Liquid, and Lightning super app. So we store your Bitcoin main chain non-custodially. We store your layer 2 Bitcoin also non-custodially in LBTC, Liquid Bitcoin. And Lightning is a rail on and off. So we use Bolt's submarine swaps. So it's a trustless swap. So when you receive some Lightning payment, it converts it to liquid Bitcoin. And then same when you go out. So you can think of it as this cross here. You can have Bitcoin, layer 2, and then Tether. And then for layer 2, it can go in and out with Lightning. And then for the Tether one, it's also stored in liquid Tether, but you can also go in and out on the other rails too, like on Tron and Ethereum if you must. But better is that you know, teal pill somebody and get them into liquid USDT. And that's going to be a better experience for everyone. And we have actually started some ad campaigns in LATAM comparing liquid fees to Ethereum and Tron fees. And liquid fees are cheaper than everything else out there right now.
That's brilliant. That's exactly what we need, because that's what all the people in Argentina use. They use Tether on Tron, and it
Yeah.
has to be on Tron. They don't like Ethereum. It's Tron. That's the network they like. So that'd be brilliant. You have to show me that advertising material, and I'll take it with me. The girlfriend speaks Spanish, so she can do all of the translating and say, hey, look, Aqua is far cheaper than this shitcoin over here, riding on top of a centralized blockchain.
Yeah.
Uh, let's do it.
Yeah. So just a caveat, we're using Sideshift right now, and the fees to convert in and out of other chain tether is still, a few percent. But we're working to lower that, and I think there will be another option in the next couple months where we can even lower that more. The swap fees from Liquid to Lightning, people are complaining about that now, but a large chunk of that is the base Liquid fee, which is about, 18 cents or something like that per Liquid transaction. And people are complaining that, well, I can't receive, I can't send 10 sats to somebody because it's too expensive. It doesn't make economic sense. And that is true. But we designed Aqua with the goal of letting people use it for real daily life things. So if you want to tip someone 21 sats or one sat, you can use a custodial Lightning wallet and that will serve it perfectly. But for Aqua, it's really for you. Like when you go grocery shopping, you don't spend a penny. You spend probably 20 to 50 to $100. And it's okay to pay 18 cents for a transaction because that's like the price of a bag or something, right? So that is kind of our goal to serve real use cases. And we're also working on decreasing the fees too. So we'll have an update hopefully in the next few months that will decrease the liquid fees by a factor of 10. And going forward, the liquid network itself is doing some more optimizations as well too. So I think you'll start to see Aqua and these submarine swaps usable for things like $1 coffee because you'll be paying 2 cents or something along those lines. So it will become far more economical to do small transactions in Aqua in the next few months.
Even 18 cents. It's a whole lot cheaper than on-chain fees right now.
Yeah. I mean, BTC Sessions, he's been using it as a sort of daily driver to stack sats, right? You can accumulate, you know, $100 at a time and aggregate that on chain once you reach, 0.01 BTC or something like that. And this is a big problem that a lot of people have. They've been DCAing on chain when fees are low, and now they're stuck with a bunch of UTXOs that are going to cost them, several dollars to send out when the UTXO itself right now is worth maybe $10 or something like that. So using Liquid as this interim layer actually helps a lot of people. And I think it'll start to become more and more prevalent in daily use as people understand the tech and as Aqua makes everything more accessible to them too.
Well, I'm going to download that puppy and give it a try tonight, Samson. I'll let you know how I go.
Thank you.
Something we've talked about a couple of times in the discussion is Tether. Tether, for me, absolutely fascinates me. And I've been watching Tether for the last 2 years sell a lot of the Chinese commercial paper that they used to own and buy a lot of US treasuries. And I've been pointing and screaming at that for 2 years, saying, hey, look, what is going on? If Tether is buying US government debt, isn't this a good thing for the US government, especially when the entire world is de-dollarizing and dumping the US government debt? I've heard you talk a little bit about Tether in previous interviews. What are your thoughts on Tether and all of the treasuries they are buying?
Yeah, so I think you're one of the few people that understands that things have changed significantly now. I think they're in the top 20 holders of US Treasuries. So they are a significant part of the US economy at a time. Again, as you pointed out, many countries are ditching treasuries. So it's just a massive shift in how things have changed in the world today, where you have a stablecoin issuer as a major pillar of the US economy. And it's kind of shocking that a lot of US politicians don't understand this and they're still going out of their way to attack the hand that feeds them, proverbially, right? So it's just the kind of weird clown world that we live in today. But I mean, yeah, Tether being backed by treasuries is a really good thing because they've been the subject of a massive campaign, probably a paid campaign by their competitors to discredit and demonize them when in fact they operate above board and have been since inception. And they hold the fact that they hold those treasuries is irrefutable proof that they have the backing of what they claim to be having in their reserves. So you can't fake US Treasury reports, right? So there's just no way that the people that FUD it can continue to do so. And also the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, which manages a large chunk of their portfolio. This is one of the biggest financial companies on the planet and one of 24 prime dealers that engage with US securities. They went on TV and said, yeah, Tether has the money. So it's a really good thing for the ecosystem because everyone's always talking about, well, what if Tether doesn't have it? Well, they do have it. So that's not a factor in concerns about Bitcoin stability because something may happen to Tether because right now it doesn't look that's even possible.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. It's really, really interesting, the whole Tether story. And the more I think about it, My mental model, again, some people think I'm absolutely crazy, but my mental model is there has to be people in America who understand the fact that proliferating Bitcoin adoption all around the world is actually going to be good for the US government. Because where you have Bitcoin adoption, you also coincidentally seem to see higher US dollar stablecoin adoption. If those stablecoins are backed by US government debt, it's good for America. I,
Yeah.
I tell you what, the tether rabbit hole is fascinating. I'm really interested to see how that evolves. I'm also interested. So I look at the fact that the Fed raised rates faster than any time before in history between, in 2022, 2023. And the effect that that has on the world is it raises inflation through essentially a US dollar shortage. I look at that and I think, geez, that's interesting. If you wanted to increase Bitcoin adoption and Tether or US dollar stablecoin adoption, how would you do it if you're the US Fed or the US government? You could create a heap of inflation around the world. I look at that and I think that's, some people call me a bit speculative for just looking at that, but that's a hypothetical scenario as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you have a better perspective, I think, than most people because you live in and travel all through LATAM. So you see firsthand the usage of Tether.
Mm,
Whereas a lot of the Bitcoiners in Western countries, they go, no one needs that because they have their bank account, they have SEPA transfers and ACH and everything like that. So they don't really understand that there are people in LATAM that absolutely need Tether for their livelihood and survival.
exactly. Even I was reading a report a while ago. People in Pakistan are converting their paychecks into Tether all the way over in Pakistan. It's just wild to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, Samson, where can the listeners learn a little bit more about yourself online, and what are you most excited about what you're doing right now? Is it Aqua Wallet, Jan 3? What's really, what's taking up the most amount of your time behind the scenes?
Well, for now, it's Aqua. We have a
Yep.
lot of things that we're trying to tighten up and get out there to all of our users. So I think probably the bulk of my time this last month has been on Aqua stuff. But as we stabilize and fix a lot of the issues that are pending, I'm going to be shifting back towards the nation state stuff and leave this in the hands of our team. But yeah, right now I'm really excited about Aqua. We've had an awesome launch. We've basically spent nothing on marketing and everyone's talking about it except for you. You didn't know it was out, but we'll fix that. We'll fix that. But yeah, it's just crazy seeing the traction we've had. Like the first week we launched it, it was on Jan 3rd because we wanted to get it out on Jan 3rd, of course, right? We were expecting maybe a couple hundred people would come in and we'll just kind of like fix a lot of issues slowly. But then we had like in 1 week, I don't know, close to 6,000 downloads or more. And everyone was clamoring and complaining like, no, you don't have swaps on iOS. And we had to explain, well, Apple is blocking that. And it just kind of got really crazy. And both me and John, our CTO, were sick too. So we're kind of like half dead answering support tickets and complaints and stuff like that, and also trying to get the dev team to address a lot of these issues. But yeah, it was overwhelming, and it's really exciting at the same time that this got so much traction at launch. And like you were saying, that for yourself, this is an interesting thing for you to use in LATAM. And we're just seeing that message again and again. People that live in LATAM saying, wow, this is what I need. This is what I really want. And to us, that's the best signal that we're on the right track and the right path. But yeah, to answer your other question, you can find me online. I'm on X/Twitter at Excelion, Excellion. Also on Noster, trying to maintain that, but it's hard doing both. And if you're interested in Jan 3, we're at Jan3Com, and Aqua is Aqua Bitcoin, all one word.
Amazing. So I'm going to pop links to all of those down below. I'm even going to put a video of me spending Bitcoin in El Salvador using the Aqua wallet. I'm going to insert it into the video right here for you, Samson, so that people can see this after the fact. And I'm sure I can speak for my future self. It was a seamless experience. So Samson, I'm going to pop links to all of those down below. I'm going to insert the video of me using Aqua wallet. Might not be in El Salvador, but we're in Madeira and we are using the Aqua wallet to pay for Coca-Cola con Azúcar. Okay, so let's do it. So we're using the Aqua wallet. Going to scan that and we're going to slide to send.
and look at how fast that is.
Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Creating the Aqua wallet. It's a needed product in Latin America, and reaching out there and starting dialogue with nation states. I think it's also something we need. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you, Luke. It's been great.
There you have it. That's our exclusive chat with the one and the only Samson Mow. We really hope you guys enjoyed that one. And if you did, you're probably going to love the recent video we filmed exploring this Bitcoin ETF supply suffocation in a little bit more detail with a few more charts. We're going to pop a link to that video right about there. And with all that said, let us know in the comments down below. Do you want us to interview some more big name guests? We do also have a few surprises coming for you guys with some content we filmed in Madeira during the conference. With all that said, hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you all in the next one.